Hi, and welcome to Cabarrus County Updates. This is a program we try to give you information that can immediately impact your life and just things that are good to know around the county. Now today we have the privilege of having Mr. Gary Fritz, who is a Systems Compliance Officer with the Wastewater Resource Department with the City of Concord. Gary, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us.
Now, one of the things that I think people sometimes don't realize, that when they're putting stuff in their sink and they're grinding it up and they're sending it into the sewer system, that there are certain things that they really shouldn't do. And there's certain things like grease and a number of other items. Could you tell us a little bit about what we shouldn't be putting in there?
Well, the number one item basically is grease that we do have. This is just plain bacon grease. It's melting a little bit with the lights in the studio. But this acts as a glue to all the other materials that go into the sewer system. Really shouldn't use anything where you use the toilet as a waste paper basket or as a junk collector for things from the refrigerator and what have you. Whatever gets underground eventually will cool off, and we call this, of course, it's a FOG program, which is fats, oils, and grease. And it is really a number one program that we do have, or problem I should say, that we do have here for the city. We have sanitary sewer overflows, and a lot of that is caused by grease. In the state of North Carolina, about 36 million gallons of grease are produced every year. And just in Cabarrus County, we find that our numbers are not, of course, that high, but we do have approximately 400 restaurants in the city, many more in the county itself and in Kannapolis. And when you add this all together, it does put quite a tax on our sewer system.
Well, where does it all come from?
Basically, it comes from our production of animal fats, such as cooking bacon, cooking hamburgers, chicken, things such as that nature. French frying is a different type of fat. It's what we call yellow grease, yellow oil, and that does not solidify. Normally what we'll do with the yellow oil is we'll mix it with some coffee grounds, or we'll mix it with kitty litter to get it more solidified. There is a company in Oakboro now that refines that yellow grease, and they're actually using it for biodiesel.
Well, how important is it that we keep that grease out of there?
Well, if you take a look at this example that I do have here, again, the lights are melting a little bit, but it really has helped us out. This is pure bacon grease that I took from home and water, and you can see it made a plug on the water, but you can see that the grease is becoming more liquefied because of the lights in the studio. And when I brought it in, it was just a plug where I could turn it completely upside down, and it would hold, and it will eventually plug up the sewer system. This shows it a little bit better right here. This is an actual sewer pipe. Of course, it was not in the ground. It is not dirty. But and using just some foam as a demonstration, what it's doing is it's showing how the grease will slop up on the sides of the sewer pipe. And then eventually will get greater and greater and greater, and eventually this whole pipe will just have an area that is no smaller than, I should say, than 4 inches for all the sewer and everything to go through. So it's quite a problem that we do have. We clean these lines. We have over 500 miles of sewer lines in the city, and we clean these lines on a yearly basis to try to keep this grease out.
Now we know that we shouldn't put it in there, so what do I do with it?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. Number one is you can put it in a jar such as this and dispose of it in the trash.
Okay.
But this is glass, and glass can be recycled. So what I like to do at home is use a soup bowl, and I put all my bacon grease in a soup bowl, put it in the refrigerator, and then on Monday when my trash comes, I dig that grease out of my soup bowl, put it into my trash, and send it to the landfill.
Now, is it the same thing you do with fryer oil?
Fryer oil, right now we really don't have a true-fold recycling for it. They are working with Cabarrus County, and I'm not up on exactly what they're doing 100% anyway. But you can mix that with some coffee grounds, or you can mix it with some kitty litter and let it get solidified, and then throw it into the trash also.
Okay. What about hot water and dishwashing?
Well, that's another one I've got here. This is actual grease and water and dishwashing detergent. And when you mix it up, this is what you get. And now before we end the program, we'll come back up to it again, and you'll actually see it separating out. And then what happens when you mix this along with your grease or this, they will just adhere together.
Okay.
within the sewer system. Some of the grease will go all the way through, and it will end up in the Rocky River treatment plant, and then they have a hard time getting it because it's oil and water,
Right.
and they have a hard time getting it out. This is probably one of the harder things from turkey frying and from our French fries and things like that. Like
Right.
last night I had French fries, and so my oil, I hook it together and I do mix it with kitty litter because we got some cats, and so I do a double dip with my cats.
Okay. Now, there's some ways that you test the sewer, kind of, to make sure that there aren't problems in that. With smoke, could you tell us kind of what that's all about?
Yeah, smoke testing is really a unique process. We actually use a blower system that we put on top of the manhole in the road, and we use a liquid smoke, and actually it's mineral oil, and we blow this liquid smoke, or we drip it on the muffler, and it creates it to become smoke, and then we blow it into the sewer system, and any defect that's in the sewer system will be shown through smoke testing. Wherever the sewer system is hooked up, if your drain spouts are hooked to the sewer system, which they shouldn't be, it'll come out the drain spouts. If there's a break in the sewer line, it'll come up through the ground. It's real eerie. It just comes up through the ground. Or if there's a problem within the home, it'll come out wherever the problem may be in the home. So we use it more to find defects in the system than we do to locate our grease problems.
Okay.
But when we do smoke tests, we actually go through with a jet truck, and they clean the lines so we can see different things. And when we do that, that gets rid of a lot of the grease. And that's how we find a lot of our grease through that truck. And they vacuum. It's a big vacuum truck. And when they vacuum the grease out, then we get we know that there's a problem there. The guys tell me about it, and then I go and talk to the various people that are associated with that area.
Well, I just wanted to find out now, so I'm in the City of Concord's sewer system, and this is what your guys are working with. You decide to do a smoke test in my neighborhood. Now, am I going to be just kind of sitting in a home and smoke shooting out through the pipes, or is it, how do you contact me? What's the deal?
Well, it shouldn't just shoot out the pipes. We hope it doesn't.
Okay.
We have a smoke notice that we use, that we hang on the door, and we normally put them out 24 hours before the actual test is being conducted.
Okay.
Now, in the case of an emergency, we will do it earlier. If somebody calls up and said, I've got a sewer odor in my house, then we'll call for an emergency.
Okay.
Now, we do call the City of Concord customer service and let them know that we are conducting a smoke test, and we also call the communications center so that in case there is, people say, well, I've got a fire in my house.
Right.
We're in that neighborhood. It is bilingual, so that we are taking care of our Hispanic friends and neighbors also, so that they know what is going on.
Now, do I need to do anything special when you contact me about this test?
Well, the main thing that you need to do is if let's say you're living alone and you've got 2 bathrooms in the house. Well, one of the drains may eventually lose some of its water in the trap, and that will allow smoke to penetrate into the house.
Okay.
We've been telling some of our restaurants and establishments that have floor drains that they can put some vegetable oil in the floor drain, because vegetable oil will not evaporate out, and it will make a seal to keep the smoke intact. Basically, if you run water in all your drains of your house, just take just a minute and run a cupful of water out in all your drains that haven't been used frequently.
Okay.
Especially if you have a basement, watch your basement drains. You're in good shape.
Okay.
There are some problems. You may have an improper seal on your toilet where it seals to the floor. That's where some some smoke has come out. The the wash machine drains sometimes are not plumbed correctly, and we'll find smoke come out of there. But for the most part, smoke should come out the top of your house. Looks like your house is in the middle of July. Looks like you got a wood burner going.
Okay.
But that's basically it there.
So what happens if smoke does come into my house?
Well, normally there's a crew on site.
Okay.
Of course, if smoke comes in, you can call the city, and they will then tell us that 135 Stacy Brook Drive, which happens to be my address, has got smoke in the house. Okay, we'll send 2 guys over there, and they will work with the homeowner to find out where the problem is.
Okay.
And then, of course, we can't fix the problem unless we just dump some water down the drain and it stops.
Right.
But we'll let them know what's going on, and then they can call a plumber to get things taken care of.
Okay.
But normally they'll call the city, or they'll flag down a city worker that's outside. We'll be outside in white vehicles with vests on, and they can just flag somebody down.
Now, is this smoke harmful to pets or to humans?
No, it's not harmful at all. It's mineral oil. It's I've breathed a lot of it since the 3.5 years I've been in the city, fixing some of the defects that we have had. It's not harmful at all. It's just a rude awakening if all of a sudden you wake up and your house is filled with some. We had a real comical one. We sent these things out, and the people were doing a kitchen renovation and never told the contractor what they were doing. Well, they cut the kitchen sink out, and next thing you know, we filled that thing full of smoke, and they came running out with their cell phones calling the fire department. But, of course, we had already taken care of it, and they put a plug on it, and everything was fine.
Now, how long does one of these tests last when you start doing it?
Well, we're going to be conducting one here very shortly in a basin that actually probably take about 90 days from start to finish. It might take a little longer depending upon breakdowns, depending upon illnesses and things such as that nature. Normally a smoke test will only take, if we're after just a certain thing, it may only take 15 or 20 minutes at the very most. We did one for an establishment out on Highway 3, and we had to shut down a turn lane on Highway 3, and we shut it down right at lunchtime of all times. We shut it down for about a half an hour. But that was to find, again, a problem. The second time we found another problem in that same building. It only took like 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, great. Well, Gary, I appreciate you giving us that information. And if you want more information, we'll give you contact information here. And you can contact Gary Fritz, who's a Systems Compliance Officer with the City of Concord Water and Waste Department. That phone number is 704-920-5352. The address is the City of Concord, P.O. Box 308, and that is Concord, North Carolina. Zip is 28025. And an email address, which is fritzg@ci.concord.nc.us. Again, that's Fritz, F-R-I-T-Z-G, @ci.concord.nc.us. Well, Gary, I really appreciate this, and I think this will be extremely helpful for folks. I mean, especially, kind of learning what to do and not to do with our greases and our oils and, your smoke test. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Now, until next week, you have a great one.